comes as President Trump continues to ramp up the pressure on Fed Chair Powell to step down and make way for someone who will finally lower interest rates. Hassett says the White House is looking into their authority to do that. Okay, so, Tom, these guys think the economy is pretty strong, like you.
Yep.
And they say for that reason, unlike you, why are you all talking about interest rate cuts?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. One is you've got 16% of GDP is housing related, and those are the high paying jobs. Number two, the biggest portion of our population is the millennials, and their ability to start their lives, housing and family formation, has now been delayed by 5 years unnecessarily by this policy. And number three, like everyone at this table, we pay a lot of taxes. And those taxes, $600 billion, are going into unnecessary interest expense determined at the hand of one person.
Can I push back, though?
Yeah.
That's not the Fed's mandate. I hear you.
Yeah.
I wish we could all get a home and a mortgage again for 3%.
Yeah.
That's not what they're there for.
That's correct. So dual mandate, maximum employment. Okay, we saw the jobs report like Charles was talking about, not as great as advertised. Okay, and inflation has been low, very, very low. So
they have reasons.
The real issue is they're supposed to be data dependent by mandate. They've now shifted in the last 30 days to being prediction dependent.
Yes.
Now, this was the same guy who said quantitative tightening was on autopilot in December of 2018. I remember because I was at Disneyland and the market was crashing 20% in the month of December because he didn't know what he was doing. And Mnuchin had to call a meeting of the bankers on Sunday to bail him out Sunday night, and they juiced it and they turned things around. Then he did transitory, and now he is certain, because his crystal ball has been so good.
And he cut rates before the election.
Well, there you go. And now he's certain about his predictions.
But his predictions are like yours. I mean, his predictions are the economy's not slowing down enough to justify a rate cut.
Except he talks out of both of his mouths, because in the summary of economic projections, real GDP, he's got at 1.4%. How can you say that we can't cut rates if real GDP in their own projections, summary of economic projections, last meeting, 1.4%?
Can I push back again?
Yes.
He's one vote, and his vote is no more important than any of the other 11 members.
Yes.
Do we hold him to a higher standard because he's Fed chair? What about all of the other 12-0 votes that we talk about?
Yeah, I think as chairman, he leads the tenor, and it's incumbent upon him to present the data that is supportive. Look, this
they're
lady
all part
who
of
was
the swamp, Tom.
They're part of the swamp, and this lady who just came on and said we're near the neutral rate. How do you get to that math? I could go to my fifth grader and say, listen, the Fed funds rate is at 4.25, inflation is at 2.8. Does that look like it's about the same number? And she'd say, no, that looks pretty far apart. And I'd say, well, then that's not neutral. And that old dog don't hunt, as we say. Dagan probably knows that saying.
Come in on that saying, Dagan. Weigh in on this.
Now, I was just looking at a lot of the Federal Reserve data in terms of, again, I go back to EJ, but the fact that their balance sheet is still almost 60% above pre-pandemic levels, and they've now slowed down their asset sales to a crawl. Those are EJ words. We're never going to get back down to levels. I look at all of this. What if there's a crisis?
Yeah.
What the hell are they going to do if there's a crisis?
Right.
Yeah.
How much are they going to blow out the balance sheet and losing, again, the Federal Reserve losing money? They're supposed to remit the money. Are they still losing money, or they have
the last 3 years they lost money, right?
Supposed to remit it back to the Treasury Department. Instead, what are they doing? They're paying hundreds of millions of dollars in interest every day to the banks.
And they're building that $2.5 billion. I want you to get in on the $2.5 billion building.
The $2.5 billion renovation of the building, which was inappropriate and unnecessary right now. I saw this alert on Friday because we'd been talking about this renovation for quite some time, but it finally was gaining some traction where there were rumors that it seemed like Powell might have to feel some pressure to step down. I don't know where it's going per se. The president certainly thinks that he should. But you do have to ask yourself, if you are running the, essentially helping run the balance sheet of the country and you can't manage your own books, what's the word, effectively,
Yeah.
then what are you doing?
Yeah, the proof is kind of in the pudding there, maybe.